Amazing series, historical fiction written by Laura Ingalls, and it's a great window into our American history. Not just about the way life was and what the tools people used and how they lived, but the mindset. And I just want to read a couple passages from the end of the book from Farmer Boy. And this just gives a mindset of how people thought back then. Now, Almanzo is still a young boy. He's about 10 years old, and a wagon store owner in town wants to apprentice him. He doesn't have any kids of his own, and the mother's not for it, and Almanzo lives on a nice farm with his family. And I'll pick up, and I'm going to skip around a little. Well, mother snapped. She was all ruffled like an angry hen. A pretty pass the world's coming to if any man thinks it's a step up in the world to leave a good farm and to go to town. How does Mr. Paddock make his money if it isn't catering to us? I guess if he doesn't make wagons to suit farmers, he wouldn't last long. I'm going to skip over a couple pages. Well, son, you think about it, said father. You should make up your own mind with Paddock. You'd have an easy life in some ways. You wouldn't be out in all kinds of weather. Cold winter nights, you could lie snug in bed and not worry about young stock freezing. Rain or shine, wind or snow, you'd be under shelter. You'd be shut up inside walls. Likely you'd always have plenty to eat, wear, and money in the bank. James, mother said, that's the truth, and we must be fair about it, father answered. But there's the other side too, Almanzo. You'd have to depend on other folks, son, in town. Everything you got, you'd get from other folks. A farmer depends on himself and the land and the weather. If you're a farmer, you raise what you eat, you raise what you wear. You keep warm with wood out of your own timber. You work hard, but you work as you please, and no man can tell you to go or come. You'll be free and independent, son, on a farm. So that's just a mindset of the way people thought back then. They were very, very independent, and even owning your own store, but you had customers, that was almost looked down. That was almost considered working for the man. So owning land and being like a farmer, we were a very agrarian culture, even into the early 1900s. But owning a store today is considered being very independent. I own my own store, but I have to rely on customers. Now, back then, they almost looked down on people who own their own store that had to rely on customers as working for the man. I mean, look at where we are now, 150 years later. Pretty much everyone works for a company or a corporation, and it's just a complete paradigm shift where our mentality was back in the 1800s. Just a very independent mindset back then, and these books are a great window into how people lived, but also how they thought back then. Just a great series, and highly recommend it for both young boys and girls, homeschool families. Check it out.